Welcome to today's episode, a program designed to give you updates and information in the world of transportation. I am Shaba Moses. On today's episode, we'll be talking about a very particular topic that says navigating through the waterways, strategies for safe and efficient transportation in our waterways. As you know, Lagos State is blessed with the rail system, the air, water, and the road system. But today, on today's episode, we'll be talking about the waterways and have a very noble statesman that will be sharing ideas, and I'll be asking him some questions on today's episode. But before I bring him on board, let's go on this quick break. Stay tuned.
Great economies are built on good transportation network. This is why Lagos State Government through LAMATA has been working tirelessly to enhance the state's transport infrastructure and implement the Strategic Transport Master Plan (STMP) for Lagos and create a world-class transport network for the metropolis. The STMP would deliver 6 rail lines, 1 monorail, 14 BRT routes, 26 water transport routes, 3 cable car routes, and several road intervention to promote the integration of the transport modes. When all these projects are completed, there will be lower emission, leading to better health for all, lower road crashes, better quality of life, and faster economic growth. With the BRT already running in some corridors, jetties being upgraded, and rail line from Okokomaiko to CMS coming on board soon, life of Lagosians in the face of Lagos is changing every day. A healthier and more prosperous Lagos is in the making, and LAMATA is driving it. LAMATA, keeping Lagos moving.
Welcome back. It's still today's episode on Lagos Transportation Agenda. And I have with me a noble statement, like I said earlier, somebody who is vast with many knowledge in administration in Lagos State and has been here for a while. And on today's episode, we have the General Manager, Lagos State Waterways Authority, in person of Mr. Oluwadamilola Emmanuel, the General Manager of LASWA. Let's welcome Mr. Oluwadamilola Emmanuel.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
Welcome on board.
Thank you.
Yeah. First and foremost, I want to ask, how does it feel to be a person who is handling a very major sector in Lagos State? You know, Lagos is known to be, say, Ekololomi, our Lolosa. So how does it feel to be that?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say it's an absolute privilege to be able to serve in this capacity. And of course, it's a very exciting job, I would say. Exciting because, yes, it comes with its challenges, but those challenges we've seen have become into opportunities for development and growth over the years.
All right, that's nice. A few weeks back, or sometimes back, we've had the opportunity to meet with Lag Ferry. Can you please explain the difference or the operations between LASWA and Lag Ferry?
Absolutely. Lag Ferry is an operator on the waterways, while LASWA is the regulator. So LASWA actually regulates Lag Ferry, who is a public operator, as well as other private boat operators. So LASWA is a regulator who regulates all the operators, both the public and private boat operators of the waterways.
Oh, that's awesome. So, if I may ask, are there challenges you've been facing so far under LASWA?
Well, I don't think there's any MDA who doesn't have any challenge. But like I said, for us in LASWA, the challenges are being posed as opportunities for us to be able to develop and grow. We've had different kinds of challenges from, of course, interagency issues, over the control of the waterways. Of course, there will always be budgetary issues as well, because as we know, Lagos State is a state which different MDAs will be competing for budgetary allocations to be able to ensure that we can move forward the development of water transportation in Lagos State. And I guess any other kind of problem which any normal state MDA would face as well, we have not also been absolved of that. All
right. I don't really know the statistics or the numbers, but I know fully well that Lagos State must have been facing some challenges because Lagos is known for traffic, how should I put it, traffic congestion. So are there things you're putting in place to ensure the waterways are duly utilized?
Absolutely. And I think it's important to put in perspective when you say traffic in Lagos. Lagos is a busy city, like London, like New York, like Paris. And with busy cities, you would always have traffic, right? However, what the state government would then do is provide alternatives for the good people of their cities or their countries, and which is what the Lagos State government is now aggressively doing. We are seeing we've seen the launch of the Blue Line. We've also seen the initial launch, of course, which will formally be launched, I guess, by next month as well, of the Red Line as well. And of course, that's looking at the rail line services to complement the road services. We've also now seen announcing the water transportation bit as well. And what has the state government been doing in water transportation bit is to provide the necessary infrastructure, looking at the jetties and the terminals, the points of embarkment, so that people can safely embark and disembark. The next thing, of course, beyond the infrastructure, jetties and terminals, is also to look at the boats as well. The state government has been encouraging private sector players to bring in these boats, and also now, by God's grace, end of this month of May, the state government will be commissioning made in Lagos commercial boats for use on the waterways as well. So with all of this infrastructure coming into play in the waterways, we're going to see a fully functional and a more thriving water transportation sector, which is part of that integrated transportation system of which rail and road is also a part of.
Yeah, this is some bit of information. But before we further, let's quickly go on this break, and we'll be back shortly.
With regard to operations of the Blue Line in particular, we all know that we have publicized that the Blue Line is going to be an electrified rail system, and with the third rail system. What that means is that the electrification will be along the track. And for us, that means that it has no tolerance. If you want to cross from one side to the other, you must use the overhead bridges. This is a necessity for all of us to understand. We have, as a government, been very responsible, and we have fenced all along the alignment for the Blue Line to ensure that people do not cross it. But what we see time and time again is that people go there and they cut the fences and they run across. This is fine until we electrify. And we need to understand that this is not acceptable. Not because Lamata is saying don't do it, but because it is a matter of life and death. It is a health and safety issue. Anywhere in the world, this is the way it functions. And if we want to develop, we need to begin to understand that this is the way we're headed for a sustainable rail system that is good for emissions. Electrified rail is the way forward. And when your rail is electrified, then we must not interface with it. So we ask this, and we ask that the people be responsible and understand that it is mandatory that nobody crosses the tracks. We bother to put pedestrian crossings, there's access for the physically challenged, and therefore we have no reason to cross the track. So we just ask that the people please respect this and respect the rails, because if we don't, we will find ourselves in very, very dire straits indeed.
Lamata, keeping Lagos moving.
ilé ọgbọ́n arọ́mọdé dẹ́ kó má má já o eku arọ́mísà lẹ́gbẹ́lẹ́gbẹ́ arọ́mọdé dẹ́ kó má má sá o eku arọ́mísà lẹ́gbẹ́lẹ́gbẹ́.
All right, welcome back to this episode of Lagos Transportation Agenda. And on today's topic, we're talking about navigating through the waterways of Lagos and strategies for safe and efficient transportation. And with me on the program, I have the MD, the General Manager, in person of Mr. Oluwadamilola Emmanuel. And he's done justice to some of the questions I have asked him. And we'll still go further. Let's go along. Yeah, it's a very sweet one. You said some things. I want to ask. You've spoken about generally in almost all spheres of life, there are challenges, and you've spoken about your challenges. Now, let me ask about, just like if I get to Oshodi, which is almost a major, most popular place in Lagos State, I can get vehicle, bus, or commercial assessment to every part of Lagos State. Where do you think is a major place for boats when these developments from the Lagos State government are coming in? What?
Well, looking at Lagos, Lagos is a city surrounded by water. 15 out of 20 local governments are accessible by water. The major clusters we've seen for boating operations is Ikorodu, Badagry, Ekpe, as we look at all these three ends of the divide. And in between all these three local governments as well, we also are aware of the fact that some other areas around it, like Ojo, Apapa, are also clusters where you have a large pool of people moving from one location to that location because it connects them to different parts of the city.
Okay. Yeah, so like you rightly said, out of the 20 spaces, we have 15 major that are
15 local governments.
Yeah, 15 local governments. Now, if I may say, I am very sure about Ikorodu, I'm very aware about Badagry, and I'm aware of my two axes. Now, peradventure, because earlier on I have not heard about it, but if I wanted to move from, let's say, Mile 2, how do I access it?
Well, you have to obviously look for the nearest jetty at any of the locations. And when you get to that jetty, then you move from that jetty to whatever routes are being plied by that jetty. It doesn't mean the fact that because these areas are connected by water, you might have boats who are going from that location to that particular location. And the reason why is also because of viability. It's also, there's also for profit, it's meant to be for profit. It's a for profit business. So if operators don't see the viability, for example, in a certain route, they will not ply it. But however, you find them plying routes from that location, which obviously are viable for them to run as a business.
Okay, so what are your associations doing to lure private boat operators to partner with your association? What are you doing? What are you putting in place? Well,
we are regulators, and what we need to do is create an enabling environment for private sector players to thrive. I'm critical to this private sector players thriving is ensuring that, you know, there's ease of doing business and there's also ease of entry into being able to become a boat operator. So one of the things we've done, which is very critical, is to help the individual operators know that there's no way your business can be this successful if you don't come together to form cooperatives, if you don't come together and pull your resources together to organize the sector better. So one of the things we've done is gotten them to form themselves into cooperatives, and even the fact they've also formed association, which of course there's freedom of association, but those associations now make it easy to be able to adequately regulate and carry out all kinds of necessary interventions in the water transportation sector.
Okay, but you must be fully aware this is our country, whereby people just wake up tomorrow and think of this business is thriving and I can make money. What are you putting in place to ensure that people who are these boat operators or drivers are professionals and understand the games of waterways?
Well, very good. So we work with the federal agencies who certify the boat captains. We call them captains and deckhands, like you have downfall drivers and you have conductors. We all call them boat captains and deckhands. Now, they certify them alongside us as well. We carry out, of course, trainings at different times for them to be able to ensure that we train and retrain them, or especially even with current practices and even new technologies, because they have to understand that the world is fast moving and fast developing. So the federal government agencies certify them, while we as state government train and retrain these boat personnel.
Okay, so if I may ask, honestly, with due respect, how many persons have you trained under your administration? Well,
I'll say in the last, we've trained hundreds of them, hundreds of these boat captains and deckhands in the last few years.
So are there means of maybe you empower them to own a boat, and also are there?
Well, not that, no. So the association, they liaise the associations in terms of when they want to get boats, and they have, of course, open access. Our own is to create the enabling environment, provide necessary infrastructure, make sure there's safety on the waterways as well.
So, okay, in the next few years, what is your agency, your association doing to ensure there's a little bit relief from the road usage and people coming to the waterways? Because sometimes some people are scared. What are you doing to ensure that people can just divert their attention from the road usage? And
one of the things we're doing is a lot of sensitization and awareness. Very important. You have to let people know how safe the waterways is. You have to let people know as well the benefits of using the waterways. Because, for example, if you're going to go to Ikorodu, from Ikorodu back coming down to the island, you spend nothing less than 2 hours. If you're going to go by boat, you spend 30 minutes, 25 minutes, or 30 minutes. That means there's a lot of travel time saved. So we've done a lot of sensitization and awareness on the benefits of using water transportation, the time you save. We've also done a lot of sensitization and awareness in terms of using the life jacket and ensuring that you are as safe as possible on the waterways, and letting people know that, look, the fact that you even have that cowrie card now, which you use on the BRT and use on the rail, you can also use it on the waterways as well. These are some of the means and measures we've been using to promote and even encourage people to come and use the waterways.
So you mean in your administration and agency, you've done all possible things to lure people and make people see the benefits of waterways compared to the roadways. However, sometimes, like I said earlier, we were with Lac Ferry, and they spoke about, should I say, a tradition, an entertainment sort of regatta. I don't want to pronounce the name. So are you in collaboration with Lac Ferry on that project?
Absolutely. I mean, like I mentioned to you, LASWA is the regulator, Lac Ferry is an operator. Lac Ferry comes up with initiatives sometimes, especially to boost tourism, which obviously we support and encourage, because it's good to encourage tourism on the waterways. But also, what you've mentioned, which is like a water regatta, has been put together by the Ministry of Tourism. And of course, Ministry of Tourism coming on board needs the support of LASWA and Lac Ferry to ensure, of course, that it's a success. So most definitely, yes, we're involved in that.
Okay, so in the next few years, where should we see LASWA in Lagos State?
Absolutely, you see LASWA basically ensuring that we have a fully functional water transportation system, which is not in isolation developing, but also developing alongside the rail and the road transportation, and ensuring that we have a lot more people using the waterways from point A to point B, not just for their trips, but for their connecting trips and also interconnectivity to other modes as well.
Wow, that's very smart, because you've given us a lot of information. Lastly, before we go on to the show, I want to quickly say this, comically or however, you know, we face some challenges in Lagos whereby maybe you're going to work 7 a.m., 6 a.m., and somebody's coming, hey, who are that? Somewhere. hope we are not going to see that on the waterways in the nearest future.
Well, we've not had that problem on the waterways, and we don't think you'll be.
So someone won't threaten us and say, someone might just know me.
Absolutely, and as you know, it's an informal sector where you have that. Concerning the waterways, as we speak right now, we're currently formalizing the sector. So we don't already have that with our own informal sector. And if we're going to formalize the sector, then you can assure that there will be no such thing like that. Thank you.
All right, it's been a very smooth ride and a very smooth sail with the general manager in person of Mr. Oluwadamilola Emmanuel on today's episode, Lagos Transportation Agenda. And we've spoken at length about navigating the waterways in Lagos, strategizing the smooth, safe and efficient way to ensure that you can move from point 1 to point B. Either you're coming from Ikorodu to mile 2 or from Badagry to mile 2 to Ekpe, and all of the waterways access out of the 15 local government. However, it's been a very smooth one. Just look forward, stay with us, ensure you make use of the waterways. Be safe, like they've reassured you. You're safe on the waterways with a life jacket and all of the things they are putting in place to make sure the water is also safe. In fact, they can assure you that the waters are safer than the road, smooth, fast, and easygoing for you too, just to make sure Lagos is a smooth place for you to live and enjoy. I remain myself, Shaba Moses, and catch me on the same station, same time, same place next week on your program, Lagos Transportation Agenda.